Rabbi say this week's parasha, the parasha of Aschanan. We read the parasha of Shema. This week's parasha.
Yeah, but it's
Oh, it's censored.
So in the parasha of Shema, which is this week's parasha, we read about, which we say every day, so many times, "Kshartem liyois ayadecha, v'hayu l'toitafos bein einecha." We read about the mitzvah of putting on tefillin. So I thought it was apropos that we should discuss a little bit about the mitzvah of tefillin. It is very fascinating. The Rambam, there are two mitzvahs, Shel Rosh and Shel Yad. They are two separate mitzvahs. According to majority of Rishonim, these are two separate mitzvahs. There is a certain shita. Right, but you should know that the mitzvah tzitzis, even though originally mitzvah tzitzis is to wear lavan and tchelas, however, it's considered a mitzvah achas. You're not doing two separate mitzvahs. When you do it, it's considered part of one mitzvah. Parts of one mitzvah, but the parts are not ma'akiv each other. Meaning, if just because you don't have the tchelas doesn't mean you can't wear the lavan to it.
except there is one. But that's why the brisket, they don't leave it tzitzis on Shabbos.
Why?
I mean, not everybody. You have to be. Because they find that what do you? It's not tzitzis. You don't the that sheet. Right. You don't have the tchelas. They hold you can't have the tchelas. You know, they were chayla us. Anyway, just
so you have examples like tzitzis where you can have two parts of one mitzvah, and however one is not ma'ak of the other. However, tefillin we hold as two separate mitzvahs, two different mitzvahs. It's not one part of one mitzvah. The halacha is if you only have Shel Yad, you put on Shel Yad. If you only have Shel Rosh, you should put. You work on Shel Rosh. Now,
so when you put on the Shel Rosh, you make a mitzvah tefillin?
If you would only put on Shel Rosh,
Lania goes on.
I think you have to make both. You only have Shel Rosh. Take a look. If you only have Shel Rosh, you have to take a look because Laniach goes on both.
Yeah, well, there's different sheet.
We hold it's two separate mitzvahs. There is a sheet of the Bahag, the Balachas Gedolos, you hold as one mitzvah. We one time spoke about it over here. When the Rebbe first came out with the campaign to put on Tefillin was in 1967. It was connected with the 6-day war. There were some people that said, this mitzvah. What about another mitzvah? Why is the Lubavitcher Rebbe getting up to mitzvahs tefillin? So he expressed himself by a Farbrengen once. The Rebbe said, if they don't want mitzvah tefillin, let them choose another mitzvah. They don't want to make that the focus when they're doing kiruv. They want to do another mitzvah. Let them pick another 100 of the 612 mitzvahs. So someone picked up one of the Hasidim, heard the Rebbe saying, expressing himself, let them choose another one of the 612 mitzvahs.
Didn't say 630.
No, another one is 612 besides the tefillin. The question is, when you're counting the Taryag mitzvahs, Shel Yad and Shel Rosh, two mitzvahs.
Oh, but
how could the Rebbe say? He should have said, choose another one of the 611 mitzvahs besides these two. If you don't want to focus on these two, so one of the Hasidim picked it up. Other people probably said, the Rebbe just said it. But someone who was there, he was thoughtful. He said, if the Rebbe said it, the Rebbe was a special person, and everything was exact. And everyone knows the Rebbe without getting involved in Ruach HaKodesh and Tzaddik, just the Rebbe's personality, everything was very exact. Very meduyik. So he wrote into the Rebbe a letter, what's this bit? There's only 611 mitzvahs besides, not 612 mitzvahs. So the Rebbe said to him, the reason why I expressed it in that way is because there is an opinion in the Rishonim, a minority opinion, which holds that the Shel Yad and Shel Rosh are actually two parts of one mitzvah. It's not two mitzvahs, they're the two parts of one mitzvah. Meaning Shel Yad and Shel Rosh only one mitzvah, and there is only another 612 mitzvahs. Why did I express myself that way? It's not the majority of people. So first of all, he said that if you look in Zohar, Al Pi Kabbalah, it seems that Al Pi Kabbalah, it's one mitzvah. And since we're Hasidim, we go according to Kabbalah. Even the Alter Rebbe wrote in the Shulchan Aruch that it's two mitzvahs. That's we wrote in Shulchan Aruch. But later on in life, when he wrote like his Siddur, and he wrote halachas in his Siddur, he wrote it Al Pi Kabbalah. So maybe the Alter Rebbe would hold later on that since Al Pi Kabbalah it's one mitzvah, it's one mitzvah. Furthermore, he said, the main reason why he said it was to give the people that are having complaints, give them more options. They're complaining that they don't like mitzvah tefillin. So I told them, you have 612 other mitzvahs. So to give them another option of another mitzvah, so I added on. I went like the minority opinion that it's one mitzvah. So then you have 612. I said you got 612 mitzvahs to choose from besides mitzvah. If I would have went with the opinion of it's two, they would only have 611 to pick from. So you had 612. It's mamish very meduyah.
Gives out tzitzis.
He was the only Ibn.
You want to wrote in? I'll tell you what happened. You're asking. This chassid who wrote in, you know what it was? You would know that Moshe Pinchas Katz, the father of Zayin Gesundheit of Zev Katz. Was a gabbai in the Rebbe's room, and so he wrote into the Rebbe wrote a response to him. And that was it. A Shabbos or two later, the Rebbe decided to discuss it by Fabrengen. It said, people are not listening. I'm sitting here Fabrengen, I'm saying sichos, and I'm talking to the wall. People don't listen. I said 612, and only one person came to ask. You can't win with the Rebbe. Yeah. So he said only one person came. Yeah. How come no one? You're not listening. I'm sitting here dashing. I'm working hard. I'm speaking to the Olam, and the Olam's not listening. You have to pick up. I said something. You should be picking up.
I would have sent him a letter and said, I did listen, but because I didn't want to go to the letter. I asked somebody else.
Somebody put
Trying to be a smart aleck,
and talk.
And the Rosh was to make
Almonds. Yeah.
so this is
The
what
question-
it is.
Yeah. Now, let's take a look. There's something interesting in the Rambam. The Rambam, throughout the entire Rambam, whenever he mentions the mitzvah of Tefillin, in all of his different svarim, and everywhere in the Rambam, he always puts Shel Rosh first before Shel Yad. He always mentions the Shel Rosh before the Shel Yad.
Not for the bracha, when you mention it.
Only when he mentioned it. But you should know, even when he discusses the bracha, what brachas you make, he first discusses Shel Rosh, then the Shel Yad. When he discusses how to put it on, first he discusses Shel Rosh, then the Shel Yad. Even though he himself clearly says that when you put it on, you have to put the Shel Yad and then the Shel Rosh. But when it comes to discussing each halacha, throughout the entire, all the halachas, the Rambam is very consistent.
Why?
That's the question. So we have here a beautiful Sikh of the Rebbe, which brings up a number of the options given by different Chachamim, different Achronim. And then the Rebbe has his own twist, his own pshat, how to explain why does the Rambam always put Shel Rosh first and then Shel Yad. Let's take a look inside. You have to know the Rambam, before his actual Sefer Mishnah Torah, he makes a list of all the 613 mitzvahs. In that listing, it's before the halachas, just to mention what are the 613 mitzvahs. He has a separate Sefer called Sefer HaMitzvahs, which he goes in depth, and each mitzvah he explains for a while. Each mitzvah was written originally in Arabic, and then it was translated in Lashon Kodesh. The first art scroll, the Rambam wrote it into Arabic. Later, then he wrote his Mishnah Torah. His Mishnah Torah is a sefer where he goes not in the order of mitzvahs, but he goes halachas, much more at length. The mitzvahs is much more a short synopsis of each mitzvah, made in Arabic that even the layman can understand. Mishnah Torah His big work, 14 Svarim Mishnah is also written in an easier language to understand, but not as short version as Sefer Mitzvahs. And before his Mishnah Torah, he gives us a listing of all the 613 mitzvahs. Not an explanation of each one like a Sefer, it's just a listing. And even over there, Shel Rosh first, and then Shel Yad. The minyan have mitzvahs, and his minyan of mitzvahs. Shebereish Shulchas Tefillin, before Shulchas Tefillin. Kasa Rambam by the Shtei HaMitzvah Shel Halachas Elu. Li is Tefillin Shel Ala Rosh, or Shel Yad. First he speaks of Tefillin Shel Rosh, Shel Yad. Kartam Mefarshim Azad, and Mefarshim already asked on this. Alzeh Shehikdim Rambam can Tefillin Shel Rosh, Tefillin Shel Yad. B'chein b'Sefer HaMitzvah, even its actual Sefer HaMitzvahs, the same thing. Shemana Tefillin Shel Rosh, Tefillin Shel Yad. It's the opposite of the pasuk we have in this week's parsha. The parsha Shema, Kshartem V'yoyt HaYidecha, and afterwards the pasuk Mefurish Kshartem V'yoyt HaYidecha, and only afterwards V'yoyt HaYidecha. V'chein said on Achas, and that's also the way you put it on. Sheminiach Miniach Shel Yad, V'yachakach Miniach Shel Rosh. The Rambam himself writes that. It says Kshartem V'yoyt HaYidecha, V'yoyt HaYidecha, K'nisa Rambam. V'amai hikdim Rambam Tefillin Shel Rosh, Tefillin Shel Yad. The second column, the first paragraph. Tmiyazu, he loyrak being minyan mitzvahs. It's not only when he counts the mitzvahs that he makes in this order. Alagam beguf halachot atzman, even the actual halachas. To be chol pam every single time. Makdim Rambam hilchis Tefillin Shel Rosh, hilchis Tefillin Shel Yad. How does he do it? Heichol, and he goes through the next paragraph to give us a listing of all the places. Starting from Heichel Mereishel Tefillin, from the beginning of Tefillin Shekasim. Arba Peshis Eil, these 4 portions, parshas that we write to put on the Tefillin. The Korean Tefillin are called Tefillin Menichanais, and you put them Al HaRosh. Or Koresh Meisel Al Yad for sure. Fenach Gap Reish Per Beis in the beginning per page, but Sivas Parshas discusses writing the parshas. Maskely starts with Kesa Kais from the Tefillin Shel Rosh. How do you write the Tefillin Shel Rosh? V'yach Gach Shel Yad. This is how you do the Shel Yad. Parak Gimel Basiyas HaBatim, and you make the batim. Keitzer Reis Shel Rosh, V'yach Keitzer Reis Shel Yad. Top of page 23. V'chein Shel Siddur Parshas. How do you put in the order of Parshas? He says first, Keitzer Siddur Parshas B'Tefillin Shel Rosh. What is the order of the Parshas when you put them into the Tefillin Shel Rosh? Machinish Parsha Achroina V'yach Kach Tefillin Shel Yad. Koysim V'Adafim. It's discussed Tefillin Shel Yad. Oyer Charetzui, and discuss the length that the straps have to be. First he says Oyer Charetzul Shel Rosh, the length of Tzul Shel Rosh, Oyer Charetzul Shel Yad. Oifin Kshiris Haretzuis Mebatim, how are you supposed to tie it? A mach is the Tzul Shel Rosh, but there was a Shel Yad Kosher, the Kesher of Shel Yad Shel Rosh for Shel Rosh, yeah? Bereish Perk Dal B'Makam Melachas, and Heichem Menichan Tefillin Shel Rosh, Shmenichan Eitzim Shel Yad Kosher for Shel Rosh, yeah? What bracha do you make on Shel Rosh? Mevarech, Chuli, etc. Shel Yad Mevarech. Always Shel Rosh and then Shel Yad. A big pella.
What did Ben Ish Chai say about it? Yeah?
I'm not sure. He has something about it?
Yes, something, but...
Depends which parsha, but they always, he does go.
No.
Parsha doesn't go with the Seder, the way he does it. That has sometimes nothing to do with the parsha.
They want every parsha that we will speak to do something.
By the way, in note 7, the Rebbe brings up that there are times that the Rambam does put Shel Yad before Shel Rosh. When it comes to halachis, where there is no differentiation between Shel Yad and Shel Rosh, it's a halacha that concerns both of them equally. There's no differences between them. There, the Rambam is not medayik which one he puts first. Sometimes he puts Shel Rosh first, sometimes Shel Yad. Whenever we are discussing a halacha which is equally applicable to both, they both have to be lishma. They both have to be whatever the din is. If it's equal for both, he's not medayik which one he goes first. But any time he discusses halachas where there's a difference how you're wearing it, what brachas that you're saying, how you write the parashas, how long the ritzua is, how you're tying it, anything where there's a difference between them, he always puts the Shel Rosh first and then the Shel Yad. Now, Sifes. Some people say, Yeshiberu, Taime Shel Rambam, some Achayim say, Shel Rosh, Kedushas, Lechamur Shel Yad. Shel Rosh is a higher level of Kedusha than Shel Yad. Well, therefore, the halach is Shalochein Tefillah Shel Rosh and needs a Shel Yad. Someone wants, he has a Tefillah Shel Yad, the bias, and he wants to take it and use it to make a Tefillah Shel Yad. Take from the Shel Rosh to make Shel Yad. He's not allowed to. She'ein meridim mikdusha chamor t'shakala. You're not allowed to go to lower levels of kedusha. You're always allowed to go to higher levels of kedusha. But to take from a higher level of kedusha and bring it lower, you're not allowed. Ma'ilim b'kodesh ve'emin. So you're never allowed to go lower.
Taking it with the klaf or without the klaf? Only the
No, just the top. The klaf itself.
I don't think.
Rambam. It also has a kedusha to it. Now, over emes mitamzeh. L'chora, because of this reason, really, Gama Nochas HaShel Rosh Yitzarach Liz Kedem Shel Yad. Real Shel Rosh should be placed before the Shel Yad. On. When you put on Tefillin, Shel Rosh is more holy. Put on the Shel Rosh first and then Shel Yad. Sharei, the halach is Kol HaMekudish Mechaverei Koidem Schaverei. Gemara in the Mishnah's Vachim does anything which is holier than its chaver is first.
You mean like in Kacham? Probably over there it's...
El shegzeirus hakosavi, dechsiv the shart l'tidach ha'idazbena. If we would go min asvara, logically speaking, put Shel Rosh first. That's holier. However, if you, the pasuk says to us, shegzeirus hakosavi, we don't understand the tam. The Torah tells us the Shel Yad has to go first. So some want to taina that that's the reason why the Rambam always put Shel Yad Rosh first, because it's holier. Makes sense. It's holier. And the Rebbe even strengthens the argument, the answer of these Achronim, by bringing an interesting Bach. The Bayis Chadash, who wrote a Pirush on the Torah, says he learns Pshat in the Torah that one has a chiyuv to write when the Sefer is writing the Tefillin for you. You should write the Shel Rosh first, the Parsha, and then the Shel Yad, because it's holier. So you see that the Kedusha is so important that you write it first. So according to this, says the Rebbe, maybe based on this is why the Rambam always medayik the Shel Rosh first, because it's holier. Similar to the sheet of the Bach.
The Sefer write down first the Rosh? No.
What did the Sefer do?
I have no idea.
First
That's what by the hand.
I think so.
I'm not sure. I'm not a Sefer. You have to find out. You can add on. You can bring a chelik lamites. Is there an extra lekut sichis chelik lamites? Or v'aschanan parshias?
Should be in order.
V'aschanan parshias or lamites? Is there two of them?
That is only one.
Well, the parshias v'aschanan. Shlohais v'al devreim ashakos v'abach. The Torah doesn't say a clue. The Torah writes, he explains the laws of how to write Shel Rosh first before Shel Yad. The Bach learns Pshat, Shespir LaTorah, the Torah holds, Shel Rosh Peshek Dushas Chamur Shel Yad, Akin Chayev Licht Shel Rosh Shel Yad. His chiddush is, since the Torah we see explains the writing of Shel Rosh first, then the Sefer is also chayiv to write it first. That's why the Torah wrote it that way. Al-Pi says the Rebbe, Yishloim Sharam Svirli Shebechol Ma'is Tefillin. When it comes to all areas of Tefillin, besides for putting on the Tefillin, Yishlahaktim Shel Rosh Shel Yad Kivin Shekdushas Chamor Shel Yad. Aval L'chura Kashel Farash K'nes Ram. This pshat of these Achronim is difficult in the Rambam. Sheinaket says that Loirak Gabik Sivas HaParash V'Siyas HaBatim or Gam Iyan L'Chosim V'Chosim. שבזה גזירה גוזר תירה של שיעה קדמס. ואיך יתוכן שברמה מקדם בזה של ירוי של יד הפך סידון המקוס והפך איפן קיבל מצופה. The difficulty with this is like this.
It's a big difficulty.
Very big difficulty. When it comes to writing the Parshias, the Rambam says, First write the Parsha, explains the Shel Rosh first, then the Shel Yad. Fine, he explains making the Tefillin, he speaks on making Shel Rosh first, then the Shel Yad. He said it. But then when he goes to putting on the Tefillin, wearing the Tefillin, he explains how to put on the Shel Rosh first. How are you supposed to do it? The order, put Shel Yad first, Shel Rosh. To explain how do you put on the Shel Rosh, he explains that first and then the Shel Yad. And then when it comes to the brachas, he says which bracha, the Shel Rosh and the Shel Yad. If it's about the Kedusha, I understand in certain areas you put it. But these areas, when it comes to the brachas, it comes to putting it on, over there you should be saying the Shel Yad first. The fact is you put the Shel Yad, why do you say the Shel Rosh first? It's opposite of the Seder. Why does he keep on doing the order? It's the wrong order over there.
Should we go what more choshev?
That's the problem. More choshev shouldn't be a reason to make things not simplistic. When he's saying halachis, how to put on tefillin, first explain to me the Shel Rosh, then the Shel Yad. The Shel Yad and the Shel Rosh, the Rambam himself holds that you have to put on the Shel Yad first. Of course, everyone agrees. He himself says it. But when he explains out the halachis, he first talks about Shel Rosh and the Shel Yad. If it's just about what's the Kedusha, what has a greater Kedusha, the Shel Rosh is greater, on this area, the Rambam would have put that on the side. Yes, the Shel Rosh has a higher level of Kedusha, but here I have to tell you how to put it on. I'm going to tell you the Seder how to put it on. This the Torah itself tells you, Kshartem lo yisaydecha. The Torah makes the Seder first of Kshartem lo yisaydecha. Furthermore, not only is this answer about the Kedusha that's feeling difficult in the Rambam himself, but the Rambam has, in his order of mitzvahs, we said, in his minyan mitzvahs, he first puts the Shel Rosh and the Shel Yad. That's even much more of a shvacher reason to say Kedusha. Because when it comes to the minyan mitzvahs, the Taryag mitzvahs, there's a lot of discussion about why the Rambam set up
one mitzvah or two mitzvahs?
two mitzvahs. There's a lot of the discussion about why the Rambam set up the mitzvahs the way he did, the order. He didn't set it up like the Psukim in the Torah. He made his own order. Which mitzvah he brought first and second, it's not clear. So there's a lot of discussion in Mefarish and why he did it this way. But no one, it's clear that the order of mitzvahs is not based on Kedusha. It's not based on Kedusha, the order of the mitzvahs. So why in the minyan mitzvahs did he put the Shel Rosh first and the Shel Yad? There it's clearly nothing to do with Kedusha. The whole minyan mitzvahs puts a lot of things that are holier later and things that are less holier earlier. So in the Seder mitzvahs of the Rambam, you for sure can't say this reason. The Gamli and Siddur minyan mitzvahs karkosvu, before I already said, the tam kolish is a very weak reason. What's the connection? I mean, what's more chomer, more holy to the Seder? The Lamitzino Shas Seder b'minyan mitzvah behesel l'Seder ma'il k'dushas v'chomrasa. Kamar olachas elu gufa. Rambam mitzaref yachad. Rambam puts together tefillin v'zuzanachas tefillin, and he put them in this order. Sefer Torah is more holy than tefillin, so why does he put tefillin first? After b'sheklusha Sefer Torah, chamoruk t'shmezuzot tefillin, top of 24. Others say, interesting pshat. So you know why the Rambam wrote the Seder? On the Shel Rosh first, and then the Shel Yad? Because he wanted to let us know that if one doesn't have Shel Yad, you still put on the Shel Rosh. He wanted to hint us out that even if you don't have your Shel Yad, you still put on the Shel Rosh. Therefore, we always brought the Shel Rosh first, because you should know, even if you don't have your Shel Yad, you didn't put on your Shel Rosh. A nice pshat. So the Rambam always brought down first Shel Rosh. You should know, Shel Rosh is independent of Shel Yad.
Wait a minute. If you only have Shel Yad, do you put it on?
Yeah.
Only a Shel Yad.
No problem.
But the chiddush is that even though Shel Rosh comes later on when you're putting it on, so Shel Rosh, don't think that it's a prerequisite. I need to have Shel Yad first. Shel Rosh. If you have both before you put on Shel Yad first and the Shel Rosh. You don't, you put on your Shel Rosh. So the Rambam did it every time. The difficulty over here is, first of all, the Rambam clearly tells us that Shel Rosh is independent. And if you don't have Shel Yad, you put on Shoresh.
Obviously, if you don't have Shel Yad, you put Shel.
He says it clearly. He needs to tell me every time a hint, a remez, tens of times throughout the Rambam, he's constantly saying Shoresh first and then Shel Yad. Just in order to hint to us out, and in case you don't have your Shel Yad, you put on your Shoresh first. He says it clearly. He says it open halacha. Why should he constantly be making this change to hint to us? What do I need this hint for? It's a clear halacha. And he's going against the Seder of the Pasuk and going into Seder of the Chiyuv, how he's supposed to put it on, against the Pasuk and against the halacha. So he constantly is changing it. So the Rebbe is not happy with both of these explanations. Side the explanation that the Rambam put it first because of the Kedusha, of the Shoresh is greater. Inside the answer that the Rambam put it together to tell us that the Shoresh is a dependent mitzvah and you don't have Shel Yad, you put the Shoresh on, he's not happy with that answer either. So the Rebbe comes up with his own answer. In Siv Gimel. But he first bases it on a very interesting Rogatchover. The Rogatchover Goyen was a famous Goyen. He pre-war Goyen. The Yosef Rosen was his name.
I was
And-
back to Chassid.
He was a rebbe.
The Rogatchover was not a Rebbe. He wasn't a Rebbe.
Chassid of the Rebbe.
He came from a Chabad family. His father, well, they were from a Chabad family, but they weren't mamish from Chabad Lubavitch.
They were from the Malachim.
No.
That came much
That's also
later.
Malachim is not a branch of Chabad.
That
To
came
be clear.
later.
Sure, they from the Alter Rebbe. They done tell us Hashem.
They came later.
No,
I know a guy from Malachim.
They're in
and that-
America.
I can't go into history lesson over
They
here,
came in America.
but the Kitzer, the different offshoots of Chabad that don't exist anymore, but that were for a short kufa, were from the Tzemach Tzedek's children.
Yeah.
Tzemach Tzedek was nostalgic, so he had a lot of the children, and all of them became Rebbes besides for one. That was actually the Rebbe, our Rebbe's Elta Zayda was the only one who didn't become Rebbe. But all the other ones became Rebbes. Well, they couldn't stay. There was a din Torah who should have the schus to stay in Lubavitch and stay in his father's seat and lead, and that was the Rebbe Maharash, the Zayda, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and so that's why he was called. That's where the name Chabad Lubavitch comes from. Why is it two named Chabad Lubavitch? Chabad is from the Alter Rebbe, but later on it became important to define in Chabad itself the difference. So since the Rebbe Maharash was the one who had the schus based on the will of his father, that the other Rebbes have rights to go and open up their own Abistaviz, but to take over the Lubavitch, only he had the schus to stay in his father, so he was the youngest. Based on the Tzava, they had the Rishus to leave, but they were not allowed to stay there and be Rebbes. So he was called Chabad Lubavitch. The other ones are called Chabad Kapust, because they went to the Kapust, the city of Kapust. So called Chabad Kapust. Other called Chabad Liyadi, Chabad Niyazhin, Chabad Babrois. It was different. But they didn't last too long. It didn't last too long.
About 45.
One door or second door, and that they merged back in. They merged back in with they were nifter in the song the Einaklach. It wasn't mamsh the Shalshelis. The Shalshelis weren't mamshach too long. The Chabad Liyadi was the other one. So it wasn't mamshach that long. A door, 2, 3 days, and then they all came back by the Frierdiker Rebbe's times. Everyone was back in. So, like Reb Zevin, Alav Shalom, the one who wrote the Encyclopedia Talmudis, a very big guy in Eretz Yisrael, who wrote the Sipuri Chasidim, Moedim Balacha, Ishim Beshitis, sorry from the Svarim. Rabbi Zevin was originally Chabad Babrois. When he was younger, he learned in Babrois. He was one of the Shneis in Einaklach, grandson of the Tzemach Tzedek. And he also was with a Chaver there in his yeshiva, Reb Nissen Talushkin, who wrote the Sefer Taras Mayim Akvois. He was a big Rav here. He has, maybe some people know his grandson, Joseph Telushkin. I think he's
He's the one that wrote the book about the
wrote a
Rebbe.
book out the Rebbe not long ago. So anyways, he's from his that's his grandfather.
On my block, he's the thing.
Yeah.
Who was the rugged
When his father passed away, I came to Menachem. I told him, I didn't know the temple box, and then I told him honesty.
Yeah. So they later on, they also, Telushkin and Zevin, they all came to Chabad later on. They later on came back into Chabad. So he was from, originally I think Chabad Kapus, the Rogacheva's father. The Rogachev, when he was a young boy, his father brought him to the Tzemach Tzedek to get a bracha. But later on, the Rogachev was very close to the Rebbe Rashab and to the Fidik Rebbe. He was very close to the Rebbe Rashab and the Fidik Rebbe. So that's why he was very close kesher. We also know that the Rebbe himself, we have letters from the Rebbe himself back and forth with the Rogachev.
Nobody understands what they write to each other.
You can read, you can work on it.
I got a question.
It's Rashi Tevot, Rashi Tevot, Rashi
Yeah,
Tevot.
yeah.
Mareh Mekevos, Mareh Mekevos. Question like this, you can't understand one word.
Tefillin Shel Yad.
The Rogachev was known, he was trying to bring us back to the Sikha. The Rogachev was known that he was very sharp. And he couldn't stand if he felt that something didn't make sense. He said he made it very known clearly, and he used to call people names. He was a very, very sharp person. He was so smart, bright. It was hard for him to handle anything which was a shtus by him. But remember, relatively for him, most people were considered like a shoit. Even people that felt themselves a big rabbanim. But for his madrega, who was such a big ilah, he said he looked at them like. So, anyways, there was one time a rav from a certain city. It wasn't like for the most chashiv rabbanim, but he was a rav. He came to visit Rogachev, or when he was later, he was in Devinsk. When he was born in Rogachev, later on he was a rav in Devinsk, the same city as the Ur Sameach. The Rogachev was the rav for the Hasidim. The Ur Sameach, Rameir Simcha Koyin, was the rav for the Litvisha, for the Misnagdim. So the Rogachev, this rav, he came to visit the city. Now he was too worried to go into the Rogachev, talk to him learning, because he heard that the Rogachev wasn't an easygoing fellow. He's going to maybe respond very sharply. But anyways, it was coming closer to the time when he needed to head back home. He knew that he's going to come back home. People in town are going to ask him, our Chashav Rav, you must have gone into the Rogachev and spoken to him a few words, So he cannot go back without speaking to the Rogachev. On the other hand, he's not looking forward to this meeting, so he pushed it off till the ending. Before he left, he went in Azai to the Rogachev and he started to talk and learning, and he was pleasantly surprised that the Rogachev was so nice to him, speaking back and forth and learning. He felt so good, he's going to have what to go home. So before he left, he did a move that made the bad move. So he said to the Rogachev, I heard about you that you're always very sharp, you have a very sharp tongue, but I'm so nice to have to talk to you learning Geshmuz. I see it's all sheker. It's not. The Rogachev said, you don't understand. I only argue and do that with people that are Talmidei Chachamim.
Wow.
One time he was very sharp with someone and he saw the person felt bad. He took it serious. So the Rogachev he basically told him in Yiddish that you're affared. Affared in Yiddish, you're sus. So because he said such a shtus by him, it was like, So he said, so he saw he felt bad. So he told him, don't worry, my ferd are not so bad. My horses are not so bad. Who I call a ferd is not so bad. It's a madrega. He used to daven very quick. Avodas hatfila, he was limit Torah. A whole day was learning. Tisha B'Av, by the Rogachev was a regular, normal day. There was no difference on Tisha B'Av. There was no Tisha B'Av. There was not an eating, but Torah every minute. Yishalmi, Bavli, Tisefta, Mechil, Tisefra, Sefri. He used to have Tisha B'Av. Around Tisha B'Av, he had yard site for someone in the family. So he used to go back, I think it was mother, he used to go back to the town of Rogachev, to his hometown, and he came there. When he came to town, everyone would come to talk to him and learning. So Tisha B'Av was a regular moment. Everyone was coming with Shilas, the whole town, and the Rabbanim. So his uncle lived over there. His uncle said to him, it's Tisha B'Av and everything. Tisha B'Av, So he said as a Yerushalmi, Yerushalmi says, the Yerushalmi says that Lo'ain Seishani, the din is by an oval, that if he can't hold himself back, I mean, it's so painful not to learn Torah. He's a oinus. You're allowed to learn. For certain gedolim going to the bathroom, they couldn't. It was a oin loin shani. You couldn't help it. But think Torah. So by the Rogachover, it was mamish, his whole blood. If he wouldn't think Torah, he would get sick. You know, it was not. When he was before the ending of his life, he had a surgery and he was nifter from that surgery. He had a surgery and everything, but he was in great pain afterwards. Whenever someone would come to him, he would tell him, "Why they talk to me in Torah? Talk to me in Torah." As soon as he talked to him in Torah, he totally forgot where he was. He forgot about himself, and he got right away to the Torah, the Gemara here, the Gemara there. He forgot that he was in terrible pain. The Rebbe one time remarked that the Rogachover was so great. We didn't see for thousands of years someone like this level of the Rogachover going. Unbelievable. It's a simon of Mashiach. To see such chachma was unbelievable. He got back his tax papers once, and he sent back a whole letter to the government that they made a big mistake in the tax system and everything. They figured out, he saw right away the system was nicht given a good system. Anyways, Lamaisa, we got to get back to the Sikha. Let's tell over. The kud of the Vart is, the Rogachover has a beautiful Vart. Based on this Rogachover, the Rogachover himself does not discuss this Shayla of the Sikha. Why the Rambam mentioned Shel Rosh first and then Shel Yad. But the Rebbe wants to learn, based on a Pshat of the Rogachover, what's Pshat over here. The Rogachover said an interesting definition. What's the difference between Shel Yad and Shel Rosh? Shel Yad, let's take a look. We'll see the first few words in Sif Gimel, page 24, the right column. Shleimer Habir B'Zo, we could say the explanation is like this. Al Pi Mashakas of Itzav and Spanech and the Rogachover say from the Rambam. And to read, by the way, this form of the Rogachover, you need to be a Baki B'Shas. It's not a self-explanatory sefer. It's written only if you understand all these sources that he's requiring. You could try to work it out. It's going to take you a very long time. It's going to say Ayin Beya, and then it's going to say one word. And then we'll say Ayin Chagiga, and then we'll say Ayin Mechilta, and Ayin Sifra, and 5 lines. There's a whole big Torah here, a huge Torah. But in order to figure it out, you got to sit there and look up each Gemara and each thing and slowly figure it out. So if you're a Baki B'Shas, you right away know, that Gemara, so you can follow with. If not, it'll take you a very long time to go through very few words. He doesn't explain out. He didn't write it to be understood. In the yeshiva world, really anyone learns the Rogachover's Torah. It's too difficult.
Gra writes like that also, no?
The Gra very big kitzer, but far the Gra is very big kitzer. But far the Gra you could. The Rogachover liked the Gra. The Rogachover one time said, but the Gra liked to always make changes in the Girsa. The Vilna Gaon, a lot of the Vilna Gaon, he's making changes to the Girsa. So there's a whole discussion. Where did he get this from to make these changes? Is it based on logical changes, or did he see manuscripts? That's a whole discussion for itself. A lot of historians, where did the Vilna Gaon get it? Because he never quotes one manuscript where he got it from. But anyways, so one time the Rogachover remarked, the Vilna Gaon's name was Eliyahu. So in Yiddish, say fondly, Elinke. Elinke means Eliyahu. So he said, Elinke, woher versteht nicht Pshat, macht agreis. Wherever he didn't understand what was going on over there, so he made it into a mistake, and he said, you got to change the Girsa.
No, but
It's one going talking about another going. We got to remember, not for us to say these things, but Elinke, woher versteht nicht Pshat, macht agreis. He says it's a mistake.
But they say, it's brought in Svarm, I can't tell you right now where I saw it, that the Vilna Gaon, whenever he changed the Nigla, it was Miyashiv 18 Steelers in Chazal.
Yeah, there's different things about it.
And in Zaire, 36 Steelers. Otherwise, he didn't change it. It was a Yishuv of Steelers. I forgot, I heard it from a big guy in this thing.
Sheyesh Havdol bein Tefillin Shel Yad or Shel Rosh. There's a big difference in Shel Yad and Shel Rosh. It's a very important concept. And here he's going to quote 2 lines of the Rogachover, and the Gabi Tefillin Shel Yad ha-mitzvah hi ha-nocha ha-yakshira Shel Rosh ha-mitzvah shi emunach. Look in the pasuk. The pasuk says, "Kshartem la'ois hayedecha." What's the mitzvah of Shel Yad? Tying it on, the kesher. Putting it on is the mitzvah is that I put it on. Shel Rosh, it says v'hayu. They should be there between your eyes. V'hayu, they should be there. There's a difference. The mitzvah of Tefillin Shel Rosh is to be there. Shel Yad, the mitzvah is to tie it on. What are the differences between the two? When you learn this way, that way. First of all, when you say Kshira, means the mitzvah is only for that second. That minute that I'm putting it on, that's the mitzvah. Shel Rosh, v'hayu. The mitzvah, it should be there. As long as it's there, every second that you have the Tefillin Shel Rosh, you become a mitzvah. It's not just in the Kshira, it's in the Havaya. It's there, it's sitting there. And he brings an interesting difference in halacha. What would be the halacha difference between these two ways? If someone was wearing tefillin, put on tefillin before while it was still night, before dawn, then it became morning. Says the Rambam, you don't need to do anything to Shel Rosh. By your Shel Yad, you gotta like pick it up, put it back down.
Open it up and then
You gotta move it around. You gotta do an action, because since you did the Kshira by night, which is not the time of Tefillin, so you weren't Yaitz to the mitzvah then. Now it comes by day. It's not enough that the Shel Yad is sitting on your hand, you're not Yaitz. You have to do a Maisa Kshira, or at least move it around. Do a Maisa to it. If you don't do a Maisa, you're not Yaitz. The Shel Rosh, you don't have to do anything to the Shel Rosh. You're wearing it. The very fact that you're wearing it, every second you wear it, you get a mitzvah. It's not a Maisa. There's no mitzvah of a Maisa. It's not a Maisa of an act. It's a passive. It's being there. While it's there, it's not an action. The mitzvah is not on the action. The mitzvah is not when you place it on. The mitzvah is once it's there. The fact that it's there on your head, that's the mitzvah that you get.
But like tzitzis, when you put on the tal spot, you say on mitzvah tzitzis, right?
Yeah.
But then doesn't it say like in some places if you didn't put it on, or I don't know, I forgot where it says you should kiss it when you say on mitzvah tzitzis, and it's already on. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure, or certain circumstance.
By the way, that's the difference in the bracha. In the bracha, you say Shel Yad, you say by a Shel Yad, you say Lohaniach Tefillin, to put on the tefillin. The mitzvah is the hanacha. By tefillin, al mitzvah's tefillin, on the mitzvah tefillin. We don't talk about the hanacha. Al hanachas tefillin Shel Rosh, liksha tefillin Shel Rosh.
But Shel Yad is more action.
Yeah.
First you have to plan here. Then you have to put all
Okay, but Minat Torah, this is enough. Minat Torah, as long as you tie down the Shel Yad, and it's not going to move, you tie it over here, the rest is the remainder of the mitzvah. The main mitzvah is putting on the Shel Yad, putting it on. The Shel Rosh, you also have Ritzui is coming in here. Now, furthermore, another interesting difference.
So we're going to answer up the Rambam, right?
Yeah, we're going to get back to the Rambam. Before we get to the Rambam, another difference between the two ways of what's Pshat and Shel Yad and Shel Rosh. We're not supposed to wear tefillin at night. So someone's traveling. I think it's talking about Shabbos over here. I'm not sure. The Gemara in Beya at this level. Someone was going on the road, and he had tefillin on, and suddenly it became shkia. What should he do? Put your hand, cover your tefillin Shel Rosh. Cover your tefillin Shel Rosh. Why does the Gemara, says the Rabbi Chavar, only say cover your tefillin Shel Rosh? Why not cover both? Put both hands, Shel Yad and Shel Rosh. Now is not the time of the mitzvah, so you should be covering both. Shouldn't be showing that you have a Shel Yad open. So the Rabbi Chavar Pasha, the way I explained, Shel Rosh, every second that you have it on, you become a mitzvah. So I have to cover my Shel Rosh. My Shel Yad, I already did my mitzvah during the daytime, because the mitzvah was b'shas kshira. I'm not doing any mitzvah now. By the way, it's not pshat. There's no mitzvah at all, and therefore you can like take off the Shel Yad and leave on the Shel Rosh. Pshat is like this: 100%. The mitzvah kshartim l'yoyis, the mitzvah only kshira. But there's additional mitzvah, and I don't want to get into it. There's a Shel Rosh. You're supposed to put on your Shel Rosh when you have your Tefillin Shel Yad on.
Right.
Already.
Yeah.
The Shel Rosh is supposed to be there with a Shel Yad. That means even though the mitzvah of Shel Yad is only the first minute you put it on, however, the Shel Rosh, the Shel Rosh needs your Tefillin Shel Yad to be on constantly. For the mitzvah Tefillin Shel Rosh to be done in the best possible manner, the mitzvah Amuvchar, the Tefillin Shel Rosh needs to have the Tefillin Shel Yad there the whole time. You have to have both. You don't have to have Shel Yad there because of Shel Yad. Because mitzvah the mitzvah Shel Yad, you finish it as soon as you do the time. You finish tying it. But mitzvah the mitzvah Shel Rosh, when is Shel Rosh really Shel Rosh? When you have the Shel Yad there. So you always want your Shel Yad on to be there in order to have a shleimus in the mitzvah Shel Rosh. But mitzvah the mitzvah Shel Yad, once you did the kshira, the mitzvah is finished.
Why go straight to go then after the
Because some people tell you that you're not supposed to make a second bracha. It could be yoitza both with one bracha.
If they're so, if one is Havoya and one is Hanicha, then for sure you need to go because you're doing two different situations.
It's not true that you have to understand why the Rambam, according to the sheet of the Rambam, based on this, why would the Rambam hold that you be yoitza with the Tefillin Shel Yad? So Lamai said this is a word for the Rogatchover. However, says the Rebbe, based on this, by the way, okay, I'm not going to go into this now, but so the Rebbe basically says a pashto word. The Rambam starts with Sefer Ava, Sefer Mada, Sefer Ava. The second Sefer is 14 Svarim is Sefer Ava. He explains in the beginning, then this Sefer, what is he including in the Sefer? In the Sefer Ava, he's going to include all the mitzvahs tvidius, the mitzvahs that we constantly do. Because when you start off Yisvarim, first Mada is our basic emunah. You have to know all about Hashem, about Avodah Zarah, and about Nevuah, and about Hilchos Tshuva, about Deis, the proper Hashkafis. That's Sefer Mada. Sefer Ava, the first book, he actually talks about mitzvahs. I'm going to first discuss the mitzvahs that are constant. Why do we have these mitzvahs constantly? So in order we should constantly remember and to love Hashem constantly. So therefore we have mitzvahs we do constantly. Tzitzis, Tefillin, Mila, Brachis, Davening, Kriya Shema.
Stay with Tefillin.
Constantly. So says the Rebbe, that's why in the Tefillin, Hilchos Tefillin, the Rambam always puts Shel Rosh first before Shel Yad. Shel Rosh is a constant mitzvah. It's more often than Shel Yad. Every minute you're getting a mitzvah. Kol rega v'rega you're getting a mitzvah when you put on the Shel Rosh. Shel Yad is only mamash kshira. So just like in the whole Sefer Ava, it goes that we first discuss Kriya Shema and Tefillah, which is every day, is something we do b'dibur every day. After we start doing mitzvahs, we do b'maisa, which is putting on Tefillin once a day. Then we go to Hilchos Tzitzis, but Hilchos Tzitzis is not like Tefillin because you don't have a chiv really to put on tzitzis unless you have a Daled Kamfus. Then we go to Hilchos Brachis, which Minat Torah you only chayiv to bench after you eat. So only after you eat. And only when you ate, K'dei Sviyah. So the Rambam goes on to say that what's more, and then the last one in Sefer Ava, the last Sefer Halachis is Mila. Mila is once in a lifetime, you can't do Mila twice. So Mila is the last one. So to in Hilchos Tefillin Gufa itself, the Rambam went with the same Seder that he put the mitzvahs, Kol HaTodah Mechaverei Koidem, Todah V'Shem Todah Todah Koidem. See, he did that with Hilchos Tefillin Gufa. Shel Rosh is Tadir, based on the Rogatchover, before Shel Yad, because he's constantly kind the mitzvah every second, because the mitzvah is that it should be there. The Vahayu, not the Ukshartu. This is basically the Vart. I'll tell you later on, the Rebbe ties in our Pich Siddis that it says that the Shel Rosh represents the Moyach. Putting on Tefillin Shel Rosh, it represents Moyach Shalat Alev, that we have to control the heart. Tefillin Shel Rosh is the Moyach, Tefillin Shel Yad is the left. Yeah. That's why he says, by the moyach, for the heart, it's much harder for us to control our emotions. Therefore, we're only asked to tie it down once a day. When it comes to Shel Rosh, your head, your seichel, it's much easier to keep yourself attached to the Eibishter with your mind. See, your mind, is constantly. The moyach has to be constantly. We know always that it's a tzaddikim libem b'reshusam. Tzaddikim have control over their hearts. Regular people, we don't have control over our feelings. We feel we have a taiva. We can't stop ourselves from wanting. But we can control ourselves. Don't do it. Don't think about it. We remain who we are. We have within ourselves. We don't become the tzaddik that totally kills out the Yetzer Hara. It's a constantly battle our whole life. Like the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, that's why we were created. Most people were created. You're never going to win the battle. It's not going to be one day you're going to say, oh, now I can relax, I got rid of my Yetzer Hara. Most people do not become tzaddikim to the real madrega of a tzaddik. Every amech kulam tzaddikim, but to the level that tzaddik, the Tanya discusses, we can always have the battle. That's the battle, the Beinoni. We're always battling. But one thing we could do is, says Alter Rebbe, we can control the Yetzer Hara, strap him down, that he shouldn't affect us. We shouldn't allow him. We shouldn't allow us we shouldn't allow ourselves to act upon what he wants, to say what he wants, or to think what he wants. Our outer expression of Shabbat Yimai, he'll always be here. He's always there. We could sometimes put him to sleep, he says Alter Rebbe. He'll always be there. We could sleep him. And during davening, if it's a real good davening, you'll forget about him. And he'll forget about you and he'll go to sleep for a while. He won't bother you. But after davening, he's back awake and with all the taivas and everything, he's there strong. So the only thing we can do is strap him down and control him. So the midas is very hard to control the midas. But the moyach, that a person should be davik himself to the Eibishter, the moyach, you daven, you can learn, you can try to think. You have to think, that's why it's v'hoyu, it's constant, and Shel Yad, which is kshira, which is the midas, is not constant.
So why when we take with the Tefillin, we take with Shel Rosh?
Because we never want, since the shleimus of Shel Rosh, the mitzvah of Shel Rosh, the complete mitzvah is only when there's a Shel Yad. If I take on the Shel Yad first, comes out the Shel Rosh will be here without the Shel Yad for a minute. Whenever you have a Shel Rosh, you're always supposed to have the Shel Yad. Obviously, if you don't have a Shel Yad at all, a person should put on Shel Rosh. Someone's putting on Tefillin on Yidden. And a guy says, I'm not putting on Tefillin, no time. See, we just do Shel Rosh, just put on Shel Rosh.
Easy.
It's easy, put on the Shel Rosh.
It covers tattoo marks on.
What was the